Thank you for confirming. So I'm going to talk about the base on the moon and the moon-based Lappträsk analog. I had something about resource flow in the preliminary title, but there might be a bit of that, but not too much. I shortened it a bit. So why do I think the moon is a place to study and to go to? Well, as many people said yesterday, it's the nearest place to Earth where there are resources. But also self-sufficiency as such is quite site independent. So I'm not locking down too much by looking at the moon. It's a different set of resources, but the number of available resources and the amounts of them is pretty difficult on the moon, so it's a good case study. Having done a study on self-sufficiency, you can apply that to our moon and other moons, to Mars and other planets, or to asteroids. Ceres is the biggest one, but there are plenty of asteroids. You can also apply it on Earth. If we can live in space, we can live anywhere on Earth, really. Deserts, underwater, any remote and hostile environment on Earth is actually better than any other place. So we should colonize parts of Earth as well. What I'm looking at is a completely self-sufficient society. Now, the moon base or the Lappträsk moon base will not be completely self-sufficient. It's just one schoolhouse, so it will be a bit of a different scale on different things and more of a demonstrator than an actual analog. The reason for making it completely self-sufficient is mainly to avoid buy-make trade-offs. If you're not requiring it to be completely self-sufficient, then in most cases it's easy to ship it from Earth. If you need a dimension M11 screw, then to start a manufacturing capability to make M11 screws is way too difficult, so you're not going to do that. It's much cheaper to ship that from Earth. But if you have decided that you're not shipping anything from Earth, then it's actually easier to make sure that you have joints, have a way of making joints, and that will then maybe rule out size M11, but you can put things together anyway. It also gives you an infrastructure backbone. Commercial will be at additional cost. If there is already a place where you can stay, then adding something to earn money is cheaper than adding something in a hostile environment and trying to make that make money. I tend to take Las Vegas as an example. There is nobody would get the idea to put a car repair shop in the middle of the desert, but there are plenty car repair shops in Las Vegas, which is in the middle of the desert, and that's because there are roads there, so you can get to the car repair shops, and there are people living there, so there are customers. It would also, having an infrastructure backbone will also bring psychological security. You don't need to be afraid that the next shipment of supplies arrive or not. You have whatever you need. And of course, a self-contained society is completely budget cut proof because it is self-contained, so it doesn't need funding from Earth anymore once you get to the point where it is self-contained. And of course, that also means no recurring costs to investors either. So it's a good deal for anybody. So why am I doing an analog? The main reason is that it's kind of silly to send something to the moon and expect it to work there. It's much cheaper and safer to do the tryouts in Lappträsk than do it on the moon. And it's quicker because you don't have to ship things from Earth. If I find out I need something, I can go to the hardware shop and buy it. And you can try out alternatives. If it doesn't work, you can swap for something else, or you can have 2 or more alternatives looking at them at the same time. And also, and not least important, is to engage Earthlings in the future moon colony. Have them come here and look at it and take part. Perhaps do things at home. One thing is to grow things in lunar conditions, and then I don't mean vacuum and low gravity, because we can't do that, obviously. But you can grow things in a monthly cycle rather than a yearly cycle and a daily cycle, because on the moon, the day is a month long, and that's kind of the year as well. It's not much of a year. So you have a lot of energy 14 days each month, and you have very little energy 14 days at each month. So giving the plants a bit less light and a bit less heat for the fortnight of night is something that we could easily study on Earth as well. It's just using light instead of sunlight. So I'm using the following ground rules. I am allowed in the analogue to use any equipment at all. I don't have to manufacture it first, but having used it, I need to look at how do I replace it. So if I want to use a hammer, I need to make sure I can make hammers, and preferably not by a dedicated hammer forge, but by a more flexible tooling so that I can do a lot of different stuff. I am also looking at what will be needed in having self-sufficiency once it's up and established. Most analogues, Moon or Mars or anything space analogues, they tend to be looking at what will the first dozen people arriving there be experiencing. I'm looking further ahead, and the aim is to, once I have found out what is needed, I will do a backwards technology roadmap. Now I know where I'm going, and then take it backwards step by step. In what order do we ship things in order to ship as little as possible? And how fast can we get people to stay there so we don't have to ship people back and forth, because that's hugely expensive. Plenty of resources on the moon. I think this was the one that came up first. It's been mentioned a lot during yesterday. I'm sure there are several who will talk about it today, so I will be very quick on that. Plenty of oxygen, interestingly enough. There's no air, but there's plenty of oxygen. Most of it bound to metals, and some of it to silicon and calcium as well. There are pretty good stock of plant nutrients, nitrogen, phosphor, potassium, about 0.5%. That excludes, unfortunately, nitrogen, which is very rare. So carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen is the main issues. That's also kind of an implicit rule. I will assume that it's possible to get them somehow. I'm not going to study lunar ice mining, because we don't know how lunar ice looks anyway. I will assume, though, that they are expensive and difficult to get at. Plenty of energy on the moon, several kinds. Sunlight 2 weeks out of every 4, and it's not reduced by weather and atmosphere, so photovoltaics is a good thing. Problem with photovoltaics, obviously, you have to get out on the surface to do that. I'll get back to that later. There are also thermal swings, essentially minus 200 Celsius in night and plus 200 in the day. So it's really, really, really cold and really, really hot on the surface. If you go down a bit, it's the average temperature anyway. Nuclear fuel is abundant. There's reasonably lot of thorium, and we have mentioned helium-3 as a potential fusion fuel. Yeah. So this is what I'm trying to do effectively, as a process where you use in situ resource utilization, and the resource on the moon is rock and regolith, which is pulverized rock, so call that rock as well, and sunlight. And effectively that's it. So we want to take in the resources, sunlight and rock, and want to process it so that humans can live on the moon. And that's the main thing. There will be waste from the processes. We will try to not waste things that are difficult to get at, such as hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon, which incidentally are things that tend to become rather poisonous and environmentally destroying waste products that we don't want to let out on Earth either, for slightly different reasons. Now, let's see, I need to make sure that I'm not taking too long here. So I'm putting my egg timer on for myself too. Right. So this process, I've started looking at how to break that down into what minerals are included in the rock and how do we get them into products and semi-products that can be used for these processes. I'm now currently looking at 4 different categories of processes. So starting by humans, that's the habitat. That's where I put whatever humans are doing, essentially. Sleeping, eating, cooking, meetings, exercising. Yeah, anything really. And in order to support the habitat, we need to eat. Then we need to manufacture food stuff that we use to cook. So grow vegetables. I think aquaponics is a good idea because then you get both fish and vegetables and fruit. Also, the greenhouse will handle air and water recycling, laundry. It will also, I believe, be the main source of outdoor for a lunar colony. You will occasionally go out on the surface, but it's not like you can let the kids out on the surface to play. It's a dangerous place to be, and you will make sure that you are very careful in everything. So we will have more of think a shopping mall, a high quality, nice shopping mall with a lot of greenery. There are examples on Earth where you have that kind of things, and they aren't actually outside; they are inside. But you get the feeling that you are outside, and there's a lot of greenery. Of course, on the moon, you don't want to waste greenery on just being pretty. You want to create food as well as air and water recycling. Air and water recycling, you can use whatever plants for essentially, but to create food, you need to have edible plants. In order to sustain this, you need to make equipment, tools, containment, as in protection, the rooms, and then you need to keep the air inside the habitat. You need wires, spacesuits, whatever. So that type of processes where you take materials from and make them into something useful, let's call that the factory. The greenhouse obviously make things useful too, but it's very specific, so that's a separate category. And the mine, you could divide it into mine and energy production, but put all that under the category the mine, because energy is also taking resources from outside the colony proper and using it and making it available for use. So that's the same thing with extraction, air, water, metal, nutrients, silicon. You need to resupply that, because part of what you're using will always be diluted to such a level that you can't use it anymore. So that is the flow of materials. I have started looking at putting more granularity into this, but that's a bit tricky, and it is an ongoing work, so I decided not to complicate this presentation with that. So mine, taking things from outside the colony and making it available for use in the colony. Some of that goes directly to, may go directly to the habitat or the greenhouse. If you produce air, there is nothing for breathing, then it doesn't go through the entire process. So there are more arrows than shown here, but and then the factory will use whatever it comes in to produce tools and equipment, and in the greenhouse you will grow food and recycle air and water, and the habitat is doing whatever humans are doing. And for this purpose, we have this pretty old schoolhouse in the north of Sweden, which is the same size as Starship, SpaceX Starship is this size. So you could possibly get the first Lappträsk moonbase by sending a specially built Starship that looks like this. Should be possible. Outdoors, I have my own 18-hole golf course. It is crazy golf, of course, so it isn't that much, but it is. It does have 18 holes. And also I have my own football field. When I bought the house, Sheffield was for sale, but I decided that Lappträsk Sport Club has more potential for growing. So I decided on this schoolhouse instead. So what am I doing in these 4 categories inside this house? So let's start with the mine, and that is bringing things into the process. And I didn't actually know before I got here, but there is actually bedrock in an unfurnished room in the basement. So that is a very good place to start. And what do we have here? This is in all cases here, what is ready is really rudimentary and incomplete. I will try to bring it up so that most things that are needed does have at least a demonstrator piece. So I have chisel and feathers, and that's essentially a very primitive way of breaking rock. You make a hole in the rock, you put in a wedge, and you hammer in another wedge between the wedge so that the hole expands and you get a crack. I was saying that part of the energy is that there are temperature swings, and I'm currently using an air-to-air heat pump for part of the energy needs. Pretty small part, actually. I'm burning a lot of pellets, but burning wood pellets is not what you're going to do in a moon base, because you then have to grow the trees, and then you have to cut them down to make pellets that you burn, and then you have lost all the energy producing the wood to burn. So that doesn't actually work. I intend to add photovoltaics, at least at some scale, to make sure that I'm using sunlight to produce power. An idea I'm having is radio-controlled rovers and diggers to demonstrate how and study how you could do logistically to dig. It won't be doing. It won't be physically true to what will happen on the moon. Obviously, gravity is too high, and I need to use a scale. So, nah. And rock handling, how to just bring the rock in, crush it, make it a good size for further work. In the pipe, so to speak, is light tubes to actually use sunlight brought in a way that you could do on the moon. I will cover up the glass windows, but then have a light tube that I will use where I will use a window to pretend that I have a light tube that pretends to be a window. So quite often there becomes 2 layers of pretend. Mineral beneficiation, we want to not just break rock, we want to create useful metals and minerals from it. The bedrock we have here is probably the wrong type, so that's not working. So I'll bring in basalt or other type of lunar rock simulants. Maybe could be regolith, of course. I think rock is more likely. Ground source heat pump, air to air is kind of wrong because there's no air outside on the moon. But the ground source heat pump, it could be used on the moon, and that's pretty common way of getting energy, getting heating here. Growth media, manufacture that. Maybe not doing here ever a cryogenic heat pump and near 0 Kelvin volatiles. Well, mining ice from permanently shadow craters. Oops, I'm running low. There are some pictures from the mine. I'm running low on time, so I'm trying to speed things up. Factory, haven't actually done anything. There is a wood workshop. I have made rooms, but I have used wooden beams for that. Electrical assembly, grinding. I do want to do welding and have a metal workshop. Welding as in also in metal deposition, like we had yesterday with space copy, whatever you call it. Space copy, yeah, which we had presenting yesterday. So here is the facility I currently have. I'm not going to dwell on that. Greenhouse, I actually have a very small and hydroponics facility. It's not aquaponics. I don't have any fish yet, but it's hydroponics. I have a nutrient solution and feed plants with it. Kind of works. I need to be better at tweaking it. So I have hydroponics and heat recovery, ventilation, water circulation. I'm going to track nutrients better, make sure the plants survive. Add strawberries, popcorn, mango, peas to potatoes, later bananas and fish in order to get the aquaponics, and actually use the greenhouse for air recycling, measure how much better the air gets in the greenhouse, and then take less in of the cold air from here. That's the greenhouse. Yeah, this ceiling can be extended upwards by making hole in the floor. Then finally, habitat. That's the easy part because, of course, this is a house. People have been not really living here, but there is a good kitchen. I have converted part to a flat. Not that that was needed for survival, but it was needed to comply with building standards. I have made plenty of drawings. There are now 2 kitchens. I'm looking into making a dance floor, have hotel pods to have visitors. Looking into how to do cooking and food variation using things that can be grown in the greenhouse. Maybe later, bit better surveillance of the manufacturing system and controlling that, and have a space where you can go on suited excursions like any other analog. So I have a gym hall, which is where we're going to dance and also have meetings. There is the big kitchen. There is a sauna. This picture to the right is one bedroom to be with a bit too many doors, but there we go. And I think that's that. And I have used a bit more than 20 minutes, but I think I should have 3 minutes left for questions. Let's see, do we have anything in chat maybe? Okay, I have a comment from Doug Plata. I think it would be good to divide the project between different groups instead of one organization trying to do every project. Yeah, that is a very good point. Feel free to, I don't think there are anybody raised hand, no, but feel free to comment by voice as well. It is not my idea to have one group working here. The main idea is really to be able to invite experts to come and help build this analog in a bit of workshop, concentrated workshop, take in experts in one area to come and improve one part, and then and have a quite, I do expect to get a quite extensive network of collaborators. This is not a new project. I have been working on this for at least 20 years, and about 15 years ago, I tried to start a very similar project in an abandoned mine shaft. Let's see, so that's that. Popcorn is the basis for flour in tortillas and cornbread. Yeah, I'm aware. Corn is popcorn. I just said popcorn because it sounds more fun. And actually, I bought popcorn and sprouted those. So that's where I'm actually growing popcorn by buying popcorn and growing. Waste processing to food production, it is possible to do. Composting, even human waste, if you do that correctly, you do prevent disease transmission. The yuck factor might be more difficult, but there depends on the nationality as well. I think it's more difficult with Americans than most others. Let's see. I should I should really let the next speaker in here. I'll try to reply in line a fair bit afterwards. Let's see. I will stop sharing now. Okay, there. There.